Good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss about steady flow energy equation. So in the second unit, we are going to study about this steady flow energy equation and the applications. So these are all the applications of SFE. That means nozzle, turbine, compressor, and heat exchangers. All these are applications of SFE. So before going to know about the steady flow energy equation, so first we have to know what is the difference between steady flow process and unsteady flow process. Okay, so steady flow process means if you take any parameters of a fluid, that means if you assume any velocity, pressure, temperature, or anything, something, if you take, so if you take the system here, so this is the system, or a pipe or a section of a pipe in which the fluid is flowing here. So this is the fluid that is flowing. So what are the variables that will vary inside the system are, so for each particle the velocity will vary, the pressure will vary, and the temperature of the fluid, there will be temperature of the fluid. So all these pressure, velocity and temperature are called as, so all these pressure, velocity and temperature are called as the fluid parameters at any point. So that means in a fluid flow, at any point there will be a certain, if you take a definite amount of fluid particles, for each particle there will be certain velocity, certain pressure and certain temperature also. So if these parameters, okay, remain constant with respect to time, that means if it at a time t, so at this time, at this particular time, if you see the particles velocity, so if the pressure is p, let the temperature is t and velocity be v, and after some time, which is p1, if we come back to here and look at here, if the same pressure, velocity and temperature are there, then we will say that it is a steady flow process. That means the parameters, the fluid parameters such as pressure, velocity, temperature, all anything parameters, if they does not vary with respect to time, that means they will remain with constant with respect to time, then we will say that it is a steady flow process. Okay, and these are the functions of the location, that means they depend on the location. Okay, and they do not vary with respect to time. Okay, that means the variation of pressure, dou P means the variation of pressure with respect to time is zero. So if the variation is zero, means there will be no change in pressure. So this is a mathematical representation of a steady flow process. Okay, that means variation of any fluid parameter with respect to time remains zero. That means that fluid parameter will remain constant. Okay. So next. Coming to unsteady flow process. Unsteady flow process means if you take the same fluid parameters like pressure, volume, okay, pressure, velocity, temperature. So if they vary with respect to time, that means if you if you take a hot fluid, okay, for example, if you consider any fluid here, at this particular time, the pressure is P1 here. Okay. So if you come after 1 minute or 10 seconds, if the pressure changes to P2 here, okay, that means the fluid parameter is varying with respect to time, then we will say that it is a unsteady flow process. That particular flow is a unsteady flow. That means the change in pressure with respect to time is not equal to zero, but there is some change. It is not, if this is equal to zero means there is no change, but there is a change in fluid parameters with respect to time in an unsteady flow process. That is, the rate of change of pressure at a position is not equal to zero for an unsteady flow process. So this is the difference between steady flow process and unsteady flow process. So next, coming to steady flow energy equation. So here, if you consider any system, so if I am assuming a flow through a system here, I'm assuming a flow through a system here. I am taking this as a section 1 and this as a section 2 here. This is the inlet and this is the outlet, and this is the control volume we are taking. This is a fixed control volume. So there is a both of mass and energy transfer into a fixed volume. Okay. So since there is a flow taking place, there is a mass taking place into the system, and there is a flow that is coming out of the system. There is a mass transfer into the system and out of the system, and also there is energy transfer since heat is transferred into the system and the work is done by the system here. Okay, so the sign convention is very important. Heat is transferred to the system and work is done from the system. So both are the forms of energy. That means there is a mass transfer into the system and out of the system, as well as the heat transfer and work transfer, which are called as energy transfers. Okay, at the exit and at the entry point. Okay, so here, when if we assume that the fluid enters here at a point 1, so the velocity of the fluid is V1 and pressure be P1 and volume, specific volume V1 and internal energy U1. So these are the parameters we are going to consider. Okay, so velocity is the fluid is flowing with a velocity V1 and it is at a particular pressure of P1 and has a specific volume of V1 and the internal energy is U1. So while coming out of at the exit, it has the corresponding values of pressure P2, volume, specific volume U2, average velocity V2, and internal energy U2. Okay. So and the other parameters are there are two energy interactions here, heat and work. Okay. So considering all this, and first section is at a inlet is at a height of Z1 from the datum line, and second is at a head of Z2 from the datum line. Okay, so now in this case, in order to do the energy balance equation, these are the points that are to be taken into consideration. First one is internal energy. Okay, okay, what is the internal energy? And next one, what is the kinetic and potential energy? Since the fluid is flowing with a height h here, so with velocity v here. Okay, the fluid is flowing with a velocity v here at v1 at inlet and v2 at outlet. We have to consider this kinetic energy. And since this fluid is at a height of z1 from the datum line and this at a height of z2 from the datum line, we have to consider the potential energies also. Okay, so kinetic energy, potential energy, and flow work. Since there is a flow taking place, you have to consider the flow work. And since there is both heat and work transfers are there, we have to consider both heat and mechanical work, which crosses the control volume. So these are the terms we have to consider while doing the energy balance. Okay, first one is internal energy. into internal energy and flow work here at the exit, and potential energy, kinetic energy plus work transfer from the system. Okay, this U plus PV here, I am taking this as one term, which we are calling it as enthalpy. According to the definition of enthalpy, enthalpy is the sum of internal energy and flow work. Okay, that means U plus PV can be written as a H. U plus PV can be written as H. So that means U1 plus P1 can be written as H1 and U2 plus P2 can be written as H2. So if you replace this U1 plus P1 as H1 and this is ZZ1 and this is V1 square by 2 plus Q dot is equal to M into H2 plus ZZ2 plus V2 square by 2 plus W. So this equation is called as steady flow energy equation, which we will call it as SFEE. So if you take the mass as unity, okay, per kg you have to find out. So dividing this throughout by M. So here Q dot by M represents small, is represented with small letter q for the process 1 to 2, and W dot is represented with the letter small w. Okay, so in this particular case, all the terms represent the energy flow per unit mass. Okay, so if we divide this equation, okay, so M into enthalpy at first stage plus potential energy at state 1 plus kinetic energy at state 1 plus heat transfer into the system is equal to M into enthalpy at state 2 plus potential energy at state 2 plus kinetic energy at state 2 and the work transfer from the system, work done by the system. Okay, so this is the form of this equation. We will call it as steady flow energy equation, and this equation is based on law of conservation of energy. So we have started from law of conservation of energy. That means energy that is coming into the system is equal to the energy that is getting out of the system. Okay, so this is based on law of conservation of energy. Okay, and coming to the applications of a steady flow energy equation. Steady flow energy equation is commonly used in flow process. So that means where there is a flow taking place, steady flow energy equation. That means the name itself indicates where there is a flow, we can apply this equation. Where there is a steady flow, we can apply this steady flow energy equation. So steady flow energy equation can be applied in many components. So some of the components that are used generally are compressor, condenser, boiler, turbine, nozzle, pump, and also heat exchanger also. So the seventh one is heat exchanger. So next one is heat exchanger. So this is the seventh one. Okay, so that means we can use the we can apply the steady flow energy equation to all these components: compressor, condenser, boiler, turbine, nozzle, pump, and heat exchanger. Okay, so first I'm going to apply this for steady flow energy equation for a compressor here. So this is the compressor. Before going to compressor, first what is a compressor? So compressor is a device which is used to increase the pressure of the air that is entering into the compressor. Okay, that means if the air enters into the compressor, the pressure of the air will increase. Okay, so it will deliver the air at high pressure and at a larger flow rate. So generally there are two types of compressor: rotary compressor and reciprocating compressor. So coming to the rotary compressors are the devices which are used to develop high pressure and have a rotor as their primary element. So the primary element in the rotary compressor means it will generally increases the pressure of the air, and that too if we use a rotor as a primary element, we will call it as rotary compressors. And the features of the rotary compressors are: work is done on the system in case of a compressor, so W should be taken as negative, and there is a negligible change in potential energy. So that means we will assume both the ends are at the same height from the datum line and the pressure. Okay, that means we are, in order to increase the pressure of the air, we will give some amount of work as input. Since work is given as input, we have to take W as negative. So while we given work as a input, some amount of heat is lost from the compressor. Since heat is lost, we have to treat the Q also as negative. So applying SF, and we are neglecting the potential energy because it is not as much as height. So we are neglecting potential energy. So if you apply SFE to this, SFE means, if you observe here, M into H plus ZZ1 plus E1 square by 2 plus Q is equal to M into H2 plus Z into Z2 plus V2 square by 2 plus W dot. So here in this equation, if I neglect potential energy, this Z1, Z2 terms will be neglected. Only enthalpy and kinetic energy will be there. So enthalpy and kinetic energy at state 1. And since heat transfer is lost from this system, we are taking Q as negative here, and this, since work is done on the system, W is taken as negative. Okay, and here W can be written as M into H2 minus, so I am taking this W to this side and remaining terms to this side. So M into H2 plus V2 square by 2 minus M into H1 plus E1 square by 2 plus Q. Okay. So if you also neglect the change in velocity also is negligible, and if you assume the flow is adiabatic. If the flow is adiabatic means there is no heat transfer. We can take Q also as equal to 0. And if the change in velocity is neglected, both the V2 and V1 can be neglected. That means only there will be enthalpy change. So W is equal to M into H2 minus H1. So this is the equation for the work done on the compressor work done on the compressor, which is equal to the change in enthalpy. That means final enthalpy minus initial enthalpy. And coming to reciprocating compressors, okay, so here in reciprocating compressors, in order to develop the high pressures, we will use piston and cylinder arrangement as the primary element. So in case of rotary compressor, we will use rotor as the primary element, whereas in reciprocating compressor, we will use piston and cylinder arrangement as their primary element. Here also the work done on the system is taken as negative because work should be done on the compressor. And if we do such an amount of work, some amount of heat is lost from the system. So Q is taken as negative and negligible change in potential energy. Okay. So here this is the reciprocating compressor. So this is the cylinder and this is the piston arrangement, and we are going to push this piston. So work is done on the system. So W is taken as negative in the SFE equation, and the heat is lost from the system. So Q is taken as negative. And since we are taking same height from the datum line, potential energy terms are neglected. So same equation we will obtain here also. So if we neglect this kinetic energy change, we will get the same equation M into H2 minus H1 plus Q. So if you consider here also the adiabatic heat transfer, so there will be no heat transfer here in that such case. Then here also we can write W is equal to M into H2 minus H1. Okay. And the second application is condenser. Okay, coming to condenser. Coming to the condenser, condenser is a type of heat exchanger. Okay, that means condenser is a device which is used to remove the heat from the steam. Okay, okay, when the steam enters into the condenser, the coolant that is circulating inside the condenser will take away the heat, and it will cool the steam, or it will convert the steam into water, liquid. So here if you observe, this is the condenser. So we are sending some amount of steam into the condenser. So if we send some amount of the steam, so this steam is cooled by using the coolant here. So the coolant is sending at inlet 1 and coming from inlet 2. So this coolant will take, while flowing into these tubes, will take away the heat from the steam. Okay. So as a result, this steam will cool and this coolant will get heated up. Okay, so this is the purpose of the condenser. And the coming to the characteristic features, so there is no work transfer here. So W is 0, and here we can neglect both kinetic energy and potential energy terms, and no external heat interaction is there. If it is perfectly insulated here, so there is no external heat interactions here. Okay. So if in case external heat interaction will be not there, but here heat is taken by this coolant. So this is the criteria. No, and heat is absorbed by one fluid and to the another fluid, so the heat is taken as negative. Okay, so since the heat is observed here, it is heat transfer is taken as negative. So steady flow energy equation is, as we know, m is equal m into h1 plus z into z1 plus v1 square by 2 plus q is equal to m into h2 plus z into z2 plus v2 square by 2 plus w. Here there is no work transfer, so we can write w as 0. And since heat is observed, q should be written as negative, and there is no potential energy and kinetic energy. So g into z1, z into z2, w v1 square by 2 and v2 square by 2. So these four terms can be eliminated. So m into h1 minus q is equal to m into h2. Okay. So here q is equal to h1 minus h2. That means initial enthalpy minus final enthalpy. So here in the condenser, the initial enthalpy is greater than the final enthalpy. So we are subtracting the initial enthalpy minus final enthalpy in case of the condenser, whereas here in work done, final enthalpy is more than that of the initial enthalpy. And next, coming to the third application, which is a boiler. So boiler means, as we all know, boiler is used to generate the steam. Okay, so that means in order to convert this, if for example, if you take water is flowing here, so we will, what happens is we will heat this water by using an external aid. That means by, if we take a fuel here or a coal, we will combust that coal, and after combustion it will liberate large amount of heat. That heat is used to heat this water. So the water upon heating reaches the boiling point and then converted into steam. So the steam is stored here in the free space, and this steam is taken outside. That means this is a boiler which is used to convert this water into steam by taking certain quantity of heat. So but the characteristic features of the boiler are, there is no mechanical work. So we are not giving any work to the system, and we are not getting any work output from the system. And here also there is no change in kinetic energy and potential energy. Okay, there is no change in kinetic energy and potential energy, and height change between the inlet and exit point is also as negligible. So if you take SFE here, m into, this is the steady flow energy equation, m into h1 plus z into z1 plus v1 square by 2 plus q is equal to m into h2 plus z into z2 plus v2 square by 2 plus w. Since here we are neglecting the potential energy terms and the kinetic energy terms, so z into z1 plus v1 square by 2 at inlet and z into z2 plus v2 square by 2 at exit, both can be neglected. So what are the remaining terms here? M in, h1 plus q is equal to h2. Since there is no work interaction, we can neglect w here. So h1 plus q is equal to h2. So q can be written as h2 minus h1 in case of a boiler. So next, coming to turbine. Okay, next coming to the turbine. Turbine is a device which is used to convert which is used thermal energy to work. That means it will, if you send any steam here, the steam will get expanded inside the turbine. Okay, while expansion, what happens, the pressure will decreases. Okay, so and that pressure energy is converted into this rotation of the shaft. Okay, that means by converting or by expanding the steam which is sent into this turbine, the pressure decreases and that pressure energy is converted into work. So this rotation of the shaft, while it is coupled to the shaft of the generator, we can produce electricity also. Okay, so this is the inlet here. Air in high temperature and high pressure steam or air will enter into the turbine. So it gets expanded while passing through the turbine. While expansion, the pressure energy will reduces. That reduced pressure energy is converted into rotation of the shaft. Okay, that means it is converted into work. So it will give work as output. Okay, and this shaft, when connected to the shaft of the generator here, we can produce electricity. So coming to the characteristic features of the turbine. Okay, we can neglect the there is no velocity change in velocity, so that kinetic energy can be neglected, and as well as if we assume at the same height both the sections, we can neglect the potential energy also. So both kinetic energy and potential energy terms can be neglected. And here, since it is an isentropic expansion takes place, because if we take that all the walls are insulated, that means there is no loss of heat to the surroundings, we can take q dot as zeros. Okay, and in turbine we will get work as output, so we have to consider the work transfer. Okay, so this is the steady flow energy equation: m into h1 plus z into z1 plus v1 square by 2 plus q is equal to m into h2 plus z into z2 plus v2 square by 2 plus w. So here we can neglect z into z1 and v1 square by 2 at inlet, and z into z2 plus v2 square by 2 at the exit, because there is no change in kinetic energy and potential energy terms. And here, since there is no loss of heat, since it is well insulated, q can be written as 0. So the only terms that are left with are m into h1 is equal to m into h2 plus w. Okay, since it is we are getting work from the system, we can write w as positive. So w is written as positive here. So w is equal to m into h2 minus h1. And next, coming to the nozzle. So nozzle means it is a device of varying cross section. So the cross section will vary here. So there are, generally speaking, there are three parts of the nozzle: converging section, diverging section, throat, and diverging section. So converging section means where the diameter gradually decreases, and this is the throat area where the area is minimum. And this is the diverging section where the area gradually increases. So here the length of the converging section is small when compared to that of the diverging section. So nozzle means it is a device of varying cross section here, used for increasing the velocity of the flowing stream, because at the expense of its pressure drop. That means the pressurized stream air, if we send into this nozzle, that pressure energy is converted into kinetic energy or velocity. That means here we cannot neglect the velocity. We have to consider the kinetic velocity means kinetic energy terms. Okay, so if it is used in turbines, fuel pumps, and jet engines. Coming to the characteristics of features of the nozzle, so there is no mechanical work here. So W can be taken as 0. Since there is no mechanical work, W can be taken as 0. And since the flow is isentropic, or if you insulate this one, we can take Q dot as equal to 0, because there is no heat absorbed or heat rejected. And if you take a same height, entry and exit at same height from the datum line, we can neglect Z1 and Z2 terms. So the equation thus reduced, since there is no work and heat interactions, we can neglect both W and Q terms here. And the only terms that we are left with are enthalpy and kinetic energy. So H1 plus V1 square by 2 is equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. So from this, we know the initial velocity here, because we know the flow velocity at the entry. So the final velocity can be found out as so if you take this H2 also into this side, H1 minus H2 plus V1 square by 2. Okay, if you take if you also send 2 to this side, 2 into H1 minus H2 plus V1 square under root. So this is the final velocity of the flow at the exit when initial velocity is considered. If initial velocity is neglected, that means if initial velocity is very small when compared to the final velocity, so this V1 square term can be neglected in such case. Then V2 is equal to 2 into under root 2 into H1 minus H2 is only the formula for final velocity of the fluid that is coming out of the nozzle. Okay, since the purpose of the nozzle is only to increase the velocity, we should not neglect the kinetic energy terms in case of this nozzle. And coming to the pump, a pump is a device which is used, which takes the fluid from the low level here, and it will deliver it to a higher level. That means in order to, if you take a sump here, so in motor will, if you run the motor here, this pump will deliver the water from low level to the higher level, from sump to the tank here. Okay. And coming to the characteristic features of the pump, so flow is assumed to be adiabatic. Adiabatic means they will assume there is no heat loss to the surroundings. That means Q is taken as 0. And there is no change in internal energy. So since there is no change in internal energy, you can neglect these H terms also. And since for the pump, we have to give some amount of work as input. That means the motor should drive the pump. That means motor is driving the pump, means this pump is taking the work from the motor. So W is taken as negative here. Okay. So if this is the steady flow energy equation, M into H1 plus Z into Z1 plus V1 square by 2 plus Q1, Q is equal to M into H2 plus Z into Z2 plus V2 square by 2 plus W. Here, since there is no internal energy, H1 and H2 are neglected here. And since it is height is considerable height, we can take Z and Z1 and Z into Z2, because it is the pump is taking the water from sump to tank, so that heights can be considered here. Sump is at ground level and tank is at some height from the sump. So Z1 and Z2 can't be neglected here. And here, since there is no, the flow is assumed to be adiabatic, Q can be taken as 0, and pump is taking the work from the motor, W is written as negative. So the final equation becomes M into Z into Z1 plus V1 square by 2 is equal to M into Z into Z2 plus V2 square by 2 minus W. And coming to the throttling, so throttling means it is an expansion process. Okay, throttling is an expansion process. In this process, expansion of the fluid takes place from higher pressure to lower pressure. So expansion, while expanding the fluid, the pressure changes from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, so this expansion also takes place when the fluid is flowing through a small area. Okay, that means if they take any flow passes, okay, see here the area suddenly reduces here. Okay, so at this area the pressure is reduced here. Okay, from the expansion of the fluid takes place from higher pressure to lower pressure. So that means this process occurs in a flow through a porous plug as shown in figure. So this is a porous plug. In this process, a steady stream of gas given at inlet pressure and inlet temperature of when flowing through a porous plug contained in a thermally inside a horizontal tube, the fluid at the exit is reduced to a pressure P2. Okay, so here if you observe, so this is the inlet fluid which is flowing with the pressure P1, okay, velocity V1 and at a temperature of T1. So when it is flowing inside, it is a porous plug here. So when it flows, the pressure reduces to P2 and both the velocity and the temperature reduces at the outlet. So that means there is expansion of the steam that is taking place. And the characteristic features of the pump of the throttling process are change in kinetic engine potential energies are neglected. There is no mechanical work and no heat loss. So if you cancel all these terms, Z into Z1, since both are at the same height, V1 square by 2, since velocity can be neglected, and since there is no work transfer and a heat transfer, Q and W also can be neglected. That means H1 is equal to H2. That means enthalpy will remain constant. Okay, while expansion, enthalpy remains constant in a throttling process. As we all know that H is equal to Cp into T. Okay, so if you substitute this, Cp into T1 is equal to Cp into T2. So if Cp gets cancelled here, T1 is equal to T2. So okay, so the temperature also remains constant when pressure is constant. Okay, so these are all the applications of SFE. Thank you.